All right, let's talk some Saints. Was reading up today. ESPN's got a piece out talking about the best fit for every high-end prospect on the draft board. Matt Bowen wrote it and put it together. And for the Saints, he likes Missouri Tigers right tackle Armand Membou. Now, I gave this a lot of thought. I'm like, okay, offensive line again. Trevor Penning, offensive line. Taliese Fuaga, offensive line. You know, they took early draft picks on Cesar Ruiz with the first-round pick, or McCoy's second-round pick. Like, they have put a lot of resources into the offensive line. Do you really want to try that again? And as I thought about it, I just went, you know what? Yes, I do. I think that's fine. Matt has said this quite a few times on After Further Review. I would echo the sentiments. Like, you would be hard-pressed to find a position the Saints would draft that I didn't think it was a good idea. And while they do have a former first-round pick at right tackle right now, I think if you feel like you're bringing in a Pro Bowl caliber player, and a lot of people think Mebo could be that type guy, to go with Taliese Fuaga on the other side, like, you do that. Because there's a reasonable chance, I would say better than 50%, maybe as high as like 80 or 90%, that the Saints do not pick up Trevor Penning's fifth-year option. They have to make that determination here coming up. I don't think that's going to happen based on last year's play alone. He didn't really play before that. And so he plays one more year. If you can bring him back to be a depth piece at a discount, like maybe he walks. But I'm not letting Trevor Penning block an elite level player, not the actual term like an alignment block, like get in the way of in terms of the development of the roster. If you feel like Mebo is the best option on the board where you pick at 9, you don't say, yeah, we got Trevor Penning, let's go somewhere else. Like, no. You bring him in, you kick Penning down to guard as a reserve, and you're off and running with 2 bookend tackles. I don't think there's anywhere on the roster where Kellen Moore goes from great situation and takes a bigger step down than right tackle, because you're talking about maybe the best right tackle in football, Lane Johnson, that Kellen Moore was just playing with. Guy on the left side, not too bad either. The Eagles' offensive line was great, even with Kelsey retiring and not playing center last year. Great offensive front. And that's got to set the foundation for your offense. And we all think that beyond 2025, that there's going to be a young quarterback playing for the Saints. What better way to break in a young quarterback than with 2 tackles who are 22, 23 years old on rookie deals and emerging into their young prime? That's ideal. So, yeah, you've got a young player that you've heavily invested in at right tackle. That would not stop me from taking another right tackle, and in this case, Matt Bowen agrees with that. Now, you look at the profile of Mebo. Again, he just turned 21. He was the starting tackle at Missouri the last 3 years, and he did not allow a single sack in 2024. Pretty good league to not allow a single sack in. You're talking about a guy who did not do the agility drills at the combine, but his relative athletic score is a 9.90. Now, that makes a lot of Saints fans want to jump off a building, but we know that the Saints front office prioritize it, so not talking about it would be stupid. And again, you're talking about a 9.9 relative athletic score. That's 16th out of 1,500 offensive tackles that have entered the league since 1987. Again, 16th out of 1,500 that have entered the league. So this is one of the most athletic big men in this draft, and really that's come out in decades. So when you start to think about his profile, what the Saints prioritize with this front office, and then you add Kellen Moore to it and see where he just came from, where they had success in Philadelphia, and it was with the great offensive line, it starts to make a lot of sense that the Saints might take a look at offensive line at number 9. And again, I'm okay with it. I think there was a time a couple weeks ago where I was like, could you just use the guys you got there and maybe address a different position? Like, what do you have at safety? Nothing? Are you really that confident at corner? Don't you need a playmaker at wide receiver? Look at what you trotted out there last year. Do you go quarterback? Like, there's so many options there that it can be overwhelming. Don't you need somebody in there to stop the run? Where are your pass rushers? Like, it's a lot. There's a lot they got to do. And I see young, former first-round picks on the offensive line, and I think to myself, don't do that. You already did that. But the more you drill it down, you go, okay, it makes sense if they want to do it. And again, that goes back to the point of, like, whatever the Saints decide to do, you can get on board with it. They just need to hit. There is nothing more important to the next great Saints team. Let's call it that way. There's nothing more important to the next Saints great team than the next 2 or 3 drafts. Nothing. And that starts with the first pick in this one. And if you can get he just turned 21, a 21-year-old freak athlete of a right tackle to pair with Taliese Fuaga, who we feel like is a potential Pro Bowler moving forward, that's a really, really good foundation for your offense. Because you've already got one of the best centers in the National Football League snapping the ball. You pair with Pro Bowl level tackles, well, then you start to mirror one of the biggest things that got you over the hump the first time in 2009 when you had the best offensive line in football. You start to get back towards that. Now, the guy behind the offensive line for that team, pretty important. The guy behind the offensive line for this team, but you understand the premise. Like, if you can build from there, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm on board with that. Not saying it you have to. Like, last year we were sitting there going, if they don't take an offensive lineman, like, they're cooked. Like, they can't field a proper offensive line. I don't feel like that with this pick. Like, they can go pretty much anywhere. I'm good with going with the Mizzou offensive tackle, Armand Membou, if that is indeed what the Saints want to do. You can read Matt Bowen's piece up there at ESPN.com. You mentioned Will Campbell in that piece as well. It's a guy that the Saints could look to identify, and I would be perfectly fine with that as well. He can play guard or tackle. It may change a little bit based on what your plans are with Penning and what you want to do, but Mebo is a tackle, and that would effectively end Trevor Penning's time as a New Orleans Saints starter if they did go ahead and make that selection. So,
hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.